It's my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, sing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Howdy, everybody. It is Saturday, and we've got a great show for you today. I was going through my notebook just during the week, and I don't know, like a year ago or maybe a couple years ago when I first got the notebook, I started making a list of my favorite non-Disney animated films. And, the list was already started, but I when I started this thing, I only had like 20 or so. And I was looking to get at least 26 for it's 2026, but I decided to do 52, so you can watch one animated film every week. I don't know, 26 double 52, double better. It's just the number that I chose. I like that number. Anyway, I love you. I thank you for listening to the show all week. If you're not listening to my Sunday show, which I'll be recording in a little bit, Everything They Don't Want You to Know, every Sunday. It's esoteric wisdom, it's conspiracy theory, it's crazy shit. If any of that sounds good to you, you should check it out. And, of course, I'm back on a monthly schedule for All Your Favorite Bands Suck, which is my music-only show where, I cover entire catalogs of great music from great bands. I just did an episode on Grandson. I'm working on an episode for the Black Keys, but you can find that everywhere but Spotify as of right now. I don't think we're yet back up on Spotify, but we will be back up there soon. This past Monday on Coolest Alive, we reviewed recommended. I don't review anything. We recommended Rage Against the Machine's debut album, Rage Against the Machine, one of my favorites of all time. Amazing. We recommended the Disney animated crown jewel, Beauty and the Beast. Wednesday, we recommended the new G.I. Joe series from Robert Kirkman produced Energon Universe, written by Joshua Williamson. The first miniseries is Duke, and it's great. G.I. Joe, Giant Killer Robot Transformers, G.I. Joe, Giant Killer Robot Transformers, yes. Live action, we did Predator Badlands, which I know was a little bit of a mixed bag for some people, but I really like that. And then Friday, we did the documentary I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not, which is super fun. I love going back and looking at some of these historical figures, especially comedians. I'm a big fan of comedy, and I really like that one. I like Pee-wee himself as well, which we covered last Friday. So, without further ado, let's fucking jam out on this. I've got a really, really cool list for you. I'm not the biggest, and I don't want to say I don't like anime, because I do, but I've definitely been like a late adapter on anime. I haven't necessarily gotten into so many of the great movies that you'll sometimes hear about, like the Howling Castle and some other ones. And then at the same time, certain ones that are like beloved by people, I wasn't a big fan of theirs when I saw them, like Akira, which is interesting, but like it didn't imprint on me. There's lots of movies that I saw, I watch a lot of animation, and there was tons of movies that came up and were mentioned, from Trolls and Madagascar, and like I've seen them. They're not my favorites. I don't think they're the greatest animated movies of all time. But the list that I have for you is fucking great. And honestly, there's just like so much greatness. I mean, the top 10 is just all greatness, but the top 20 is all greatness. And, looking at the top 30, there's an argument could be made that that's all greatness as well. And, the top 40, they're a little weaker than the first group, but the top 40 and even the top 50, like there's some great stuff. Now, I will say there's a few things in here that, are personal on whatever level. I'm sure there are some other people with these personal, and where things are rated, obviously, and where things are ranked is obviously, it's all personal. But there are a few that you may go, really, Jesse, you think that's good? But for some reason or another, it did imprint on me, and it did, mean something to me. So, I'll defend those ones when I get to them. But at number 52, and this really kind of needed to be the end of my list, because it was sort of like the best animated film that I could think of that I thought was really great and I'd seen a lot of times, but it didn't like excite me to think about it, but I thought it was a really great one. And that is The Land Before Time. And not only is The Land Before Time good, but The Land Before Time sequels are pretty solid as well. But The Land Before Time is really the one that establishes the whole crew and gets the franchise up and running. And the reason why there is a franchise is because The Land Before Time is really, really good. The basic plot is you just got this young orphan dinosaur who's journeying across this crazy prehistoric world and seeking a safe valley while forming bonds with other young dinosaurs. And it's really adorable. And, you feel it, man. Like I said, the reason this became a franchise was because of the strength of this film. And just to say that is like, I mean, it's certainly something that you could put on for yourself, but put on with your kids and you'll see how much it really plays. It really, you feel everybody's journey. And the animation's great, and it's dinosaurs. It's fun. It was released in 1988 by Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment. That's Steven Spielberg's and George Lucas producing. Directed by Don Bluth. At number 51, we've got All Dogs Go to Heaven, which again, another one that, this one edges out Land Before Time because it's just a little bit more grounded in something spectacular to kind of learn or think about in our reality. This idea of heaven and life and death, and really makes you think. The performances are great. Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise as like the lead dogs, and the cute little girl who they're trying to save. It's a corrupt dog played by Reynolds. Returns from the afterlife seeking revenge, but he finds redemption through protecting this orphan girl. And, this is a standard, kind of storytelling trope now of like the masculine man protecting the girl, helping the girl get revenge or whatever. Monsters, Inc.'s one of my favorites, and Wreck-It Ralph. And this is very much the beginning of those flicks. This was released in 1989 by United Artists and Don Bluth Productions, once again directed by Don Bluth with Gary Goldman. At number 50, and I know this is a much higher rated one for lots of people, and I did enjoy it, but it didn't knock my socks off, and maybe it was just because it had been built up so much. I had heard so many good things about this film, but Spirited Away was just a little weird for me. There's things that I took away from it, and I quite liked aspects of it, but it wasn't my absolute favorite. It didn't trump a lot of other favorite animated films for me. The basic plot is a girl trapped in a spirit world, and she's got to work in a bathhouse to save her parents and rediscover her identity. The designs and stuff for the various creatures and demons there are quite cool. I actually have been meaning to go back and rewatch it because now I have a lot more of an understanding of sort of some of the religious culture and symbology and different things like that, and I think I would enjoy it even more. But this was released in 2001 by Studio Ghibli, and like I said, guys, I am behind on my Studio Ghibli watching. If you have recommendations for me, you can hit me up, jbs@blacklightdistrict.studio. Tell me which ones to start with. And I should just mention blacklightdistrict.studio is my company's website. We make boutique comic books and music. It's all free on our website. Website's got a lot of cool utilities. Yeah. And great comics and great music to check out. So go to blacklightdistrict.studio now, motherfucker. This was directed by Hayao Miyazaki and an Academy Award winner for Best Animated Feature. At number 49, we've got one that, like, I love. I always kind of wanted to, like, love it more because I always loved the book. And I did quite like the animated film. When I look back on it, it doesn't, like, quite grab me weirdly the way the book did. But it really does come together and evoke the book in great ways. James and the Giant Peach. At number 49, a boy escapes an abusive guardian and travels across the ocean inside a giant magical peach with insect companions. I mean, the stakes are really high, and he's in a giant peach that's like rotting with worms inside and talking to these animals, and it's all stop motion animation. I am a huge sucker for stop motion animation. I think one movie that didn't make the list but deserves it, and possibly didn't make the list because I'm not sure if I've even seen the whole thing, but I quite like the Box Trolls. The James and the Giant's Peach, though, was released in '96 by Walt Disney Pictures and technically should not be on this list. Oh, we're changing it to the Box Trolls retroactively. This is the Box Trolls position. Ha ha ha. I almost let a Disney movie slip in. Son of a gun. Look at me. Yeah, fucking idiot. All right, at number 48, He-Man and the She-Ra Christmas Special. He-Man and She-Ra unite to stop Horde Prime from corrupting Christmas spirit across Eternia and Etheria. It's released in 1985 by MGM UA Entertainment, produced by Filmation Associates. All right, look, this is one of those ones where you're like, that's better than Spirited Away. Well, just in the way that it connected to the magic for me of like these things, and I liked all these things. I liked He-Man and the bad guys are really cool, and Christmas, I love Christmas. And so, yeah, I got a soft spot for that one. I mean, maybe it should be further down on the list. It probably should be. Like, I don't want to move it further. Okay, we'll say it's 50. All right, we'll give it to Spirited Away. Spirited Away is better, and Spirited Away is better than Box Trolls. We'll move Spirited Away to 48, and we'll move the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas Special to 50. Okay? Officially. At number 47, a recent addition to my cartoon repertoire, but I definitely really enjoyed it, and it imprinted on me in some ways, even though I was older and just kind of watching it, trying to get some perspective on things. But Transformers, the movie, the Autobots and the Decepticons, the bad guy Transformers, are at war, and it's escalating into a cosmic destruction involving Unicron, which is this giant fucking transformer, forcing a new generation of heroes to rise. It was released in '86 by De Laurentiis Entertainment Group and Toei Animation, and directed by Nelson Shin. Features Orson Welles' final performance. Autobots, attack! There's just... It's fucking iconic, There's something wonderful about it, and appreciating, that it's the basis of this thing that's gone on for so long, because it's just so evocative. These transforming robots. I've recently gotten into Transformers with the comics, and just so much of it is all based on what's here, to some degree, and it's a worthy thing to check out. I recommend Transformers the movie. At number 46, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from 1964. Some wonderful stop-motion animation. A misfit reindeer is ostracized for his glowing red nose, if you've not heard the story, until it becomes essential in saving Christmas during a blizzard. It was released in 1964 by Rankin Bass Productions, directed by Larry Romer. Iconic stop-motion holiday special. There will be some more Rankin Bass on this list. Not all of them. There's plenty of them that are good, but there's a few favorites that I have that did make the list. And of course, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is just great. It's just so classic. There's certain things on here that are like, I couldn't not put them here. And like, it was just like, oh, how do you deny? That's like fucking great. It's like one of the greatest things ever. And everything kind of had to contend around like, yeah, that's really great though. Does Transformers the movie beat Rudolph the fucking Red-Nosed Reindeer? I don't know. I think he's got a little bit of an edge, especially just in the stop motion animation, whatever else. So then I also recently watched the G.I. Joe movie, which I do not recommend. I think it's fucking batshit crazy. But then after that was sent to me G.I. Joe Resolute, which is actually one of the most recent animated things I've watched. And it was excellent. Written by Warren Ellis, who's an excellent comic book writer. You got a darker, more grounded G.I. Joe team battling Cobra in a global conflict with higher stakes and more realistic consequences. It was released in 2009 by Hasbro Studios and Titmouse Incorporated and directed by Sam Liu. And it is excellent, man. It's really solid. Fucking grounds the shit out of the Joes. At number 44, this one has a special place in my heart, but I really think it holds up, and is just a worthy cartoon film on its own. But I was always a big fan of the Jetsons, and Jetsons the movie is quite excellent. George Jetson is promoted into a space-based job that uncovers sabotage threatening his futuristic society and family. Released in 1990 by Universal Pictures and Hanna-Barbera, directed by Joseph Barbera and William Hanna, and it is awesome. Awesome. At number 43, this one, special place in my heart. I don't know, maybe it won't hold up for you, but there are some fundamental concepts about it all that I just love and are wonderful and are innocent, and I think wonderfully worthy of watching with your children at the very least. Number 43, the Care Bears movie. The Care Bears travel to Earth to stop emotional corruption spreading through a magical book influencing children. And it's scary and cool and fun. The Care Bears are just great, man. They're these bears with the symbols that represent their spirits, and they're out there, sliming people with love. And the Care Bear cousins, which I think I think the Care Bear cousins are in the Care Bear movie, which are great. The lion and the penguin, and they're all fucking adorable. If you like animation, and you're a kid at heart, you can stand in a kid friendly thing. It's just wonderful. Released in 1985 by Nelvana, directed by Arne Selznick. All right, number 42. I barely remember this movie, but it was great. It came out at the time when I was working at Blockbuster Video back in the day. It was Titan AE. Really, really cool, kind of experimental animated movie released in 2000 by 20th Century Fox Animation. It's directed by Don Bluth, once again, and Gary Goldman, once again, with some story input from Joss Whedon. But it's awesome. After Earth's destruction, humanity's survival depends on a ship capable of recreating the planet, pursued by alien forces seeking extinction. Got to rebuild the planet. It was all very cool. It was just like a cool kind of Star Warsy type adventure movie, and worthy of finding. I haven't watched it in a long time, so I don't remember. But at the time, I just remember recommended it to everybody. It was just great, great flick. Number 41, a little bit more well-known and classic, is The Secret of NIMH, Nimh. A widowed mouse seeks help from genetically enhanced rats to save her family and home, uncovering a secret scientific experimentation society. So cool. Really got to go back and watch The Secret of NIMH again. I bet it'll mean that much more to me now. I always thought it was just a great allegory for the poor mice, but it's an allegory for the poor humans. It was released in 1982 by United Artists, and once again we got Don Bluth production and directed by Don Bluth. He is a talent. Love that Don Bluth. Number 40, Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, just edging out The Secret of NIMH with some bright humor, but doing a lot of similar good work in environmental shit. Released in 1992 by 20th Century Fox Animation, directed by Bill Croyer, features Robin Williams as Batty Coda, and the plot is fairy shrinks a human logger, forcing him to be witness to the rainforest destruction, and the conflict between nature spirits and industrial expansion goes from there. And there's like this smog animated guy, and there's some songs in it that are fun. It's just a really fun movie, and there to raise awareness for what we were doing to the planet. At 39, you got Monster House. I'd seen pieces of this, and I finally got to watch the whole thing a few years ago now, but I really liked it. Three kids discover a neighbor's house is alive and predatory and must destroy its supernatural core before it consumes the neighborhood. Released in 2006 by Sony Pictures Animation, directed by Gil Keenan, produced by Robert Zemeckis, and executive produced by Steven Spielberg. Obviously, those guys are pretty talented, and they made a great animated film. Quite like it. Number 38, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. I think Into the Spider-Verse is amazing, one of the greatest animated films of all time. We will talk about it in a little bit. But Across the Spider-Verse it's like, it's great, obviously, because it's on the back of that, but not close to as great for me. So I like it, and it's great. It's an animated fucking achievement. You got Miles Morales entering a multiverse of a policing system where spider people are bound by canon events, forcing him to challenge destiny itself and challenge a canon event. It's released in 2023 by Sony Pictures Animation, directed by Joaquim dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson, produced by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who are brilliant. Deadpool, and other things that they've done, like the Lego movies. I'm pretty sure that's them too. It's good. It's beautiful. It's solid. But it's not my favorite. Hey, I like it better than Monster House, and better than Ferngully, better than The Secret of the Nim. Although when I say that, though, I kind of go, I don't know if that one even deserves to be on the list. Maybe that one's got to go. Maybe I should have got rid of that one. I don't know. It's there. I don't know. Maybe I'll rethink that. I always have such a hard time with these lists. It's like, how you're making, what does it mean? Okay, at number 37, we've got The Year Without a Santa Claus, another Rankin and Bass production released in 1974, directed by Arthur Rankin Jr. and Jules Bass, famous for the Heat Miser and the Snow Miser musical segments in this one here. Santa considers skipping Christmas due to exhaustion, but two elves restore holiday spirit by traveling through elemental kingdoms of heat and cold. It's just so fun and so memorable. And there's a bunch of them that are good. I forget some of the names of the other ones off the top of my head, but the whole Rankin Bass claymation, if you haven't done it, like, break them out around Christmas, you will enjoy yourself. At number 36, a recent addition to the list, David from Angel Studios, a biblical retelling focused on the rise of David from shepherd to king, exploring faith, destiny, moral conflict, and divine purpose through a mythical animated lens. And I don't really like that it says a biblical retelling, because this isn't like remotely religious in any way, shape, or form. It's just a great story. It's a great story. David's story is great. He is the type of character that every man needs to be emulating, and everybody should see. Every kid should be exposed to. This was released by Angel Studios. Part of the studio's faith-based animation and storytelling expansion reflects modern resurgence of religious animated epics aimed at global streaming and theatrical crossover audiences, and it is made that way. It is not pushy or religious in any way, shape, or form. There's no, you must Jesus this or anything like that. So go enjoy it. It was awesome. 35, Shrek. An ogre is forced on a quest to rescue Princess Fiona, only to discover fairy tale roles are imposed constructs and identity is self-defined. Yeah, man. Released in 2001 by DreamWorks Animation. It's kind of one of those movies that, like, I wanted to, like, hate on some level because it was, like, so popular with everybody else, but it's great. It was shockingly good seeing it the first time, with Donkey and Mike Myers. It was just very funny. Produced by Jeffrey Katzenberg. First Oscar winner for Best Animated Feature, and well-deserved. It was a good one. One of those ones that, just have to put everything else up against. Is it a Shrek? Is it Shrek level? These other ones are not quite Shrek level, but Shrek is Shrek level. At 34, Shrek level or higher. The Lego Movie 2, the second part. And honestly, I can't even, like, tell these movies apart to a certain degree. I've seen seen them a bunch of times because my kids are always like, they really like them, so they watch them a bunch. But I love them. I love them both in and out of the theater. I give it, the higher up score to the Lego Movie 1 because that one established the whole thing, and that one's got, like, the root core story that really got me. But the second one I like just as much. Just kind of buzzing from enjoying the first one. In this one, Emmett, the little Lego man, he must rescue his friends after Duplo invaders transform Bricksburg into a chaotic wasteland, traveling across multiple Lego realities to restore balance. It was super fun. Sorry, I just had to take a quick break to help with some groceries. But the Lego Movie 2 is amazing. The soundtrack, which is partially provided by the Lonely Island guys, Yorma and Akiva and Andy Samberg, and some of the vestigial tale remnants of the previous soundtrack, which was largely written by, I forget the guy's name. He's like a rapper. He's on The League. He plays like the stoner guy on The League. John DeJoulais or something like that. He's awesome, so talented. The music is genuinely funny. The animation and everything. It's really well done. It's really really great. It's just, and years after all these like fan made little stop motion animations, it's very cool to see a full up Lego animated film. And we'll talk about the first one in a minute. At number 33, another favorite of mine from the DreamWorks animation 2006 is Over the Hedge, directed by Tim Johnson and Kerry Kirkpatrick. It's based on the comic strip by Michael Fry and T. Lewis, where forest animals wake from hibernation to discover suburban sprawl has replaced their habitat, forcing them into chaotic adaptation to human consumer culture. So basically, they're a bunch of forest animals, and then they wake up one day and they've built like a whole new place, and where they used to go for food isn't there anymore. So they have to start trash picking and stuff, and they get led by a raccoon played by Bruce Willis. There's some great voice casting here. Larry Shandling plays the kind of the B lead, but William Shatner has a little role in it. And Wanda Sykes and Steve Carell, a really early breakout. Great part for Steve Carell, very funny as a little chaotic squirrel. And I think even Avril Lavigne has a part of the movie. Is there anything else to say about it? Oh yeah, there's also Nick Nolte playing this gnarly grizzly bear. It was a real surprise. It's just really well done and fun and heartfelt and quite like Over the Hedge. At 32, another unsung or undersung classic, Road to El Dorado. With Kevin Kline doing one of the voices of the two con men who accidentally discover the mythical city of El Dorado and are mistaken for gods, forcing them to confront greed, identity, and responsibility towards a real civilization as they lie to them and try to pretend that they are indeed gods. It was released in 2000 by DreamWorks Animation, directed by Bilbo Bergeron. Not Bilbo, sorry, it's Bibbo Bergeron, and Will Finn. Music, though, provided by Elton John and Hans Zimmer, was a major cult reappraised DreamWorks film. It's excellent, really, really excellent. Well done, DreamWorks. There in an early, quiet hit for them. All right, at number 31, and this was one of the last ones I added to the list because I had forgotten about it, but I meant to. It was supposed to be on the list. 31 is K-pop Demon Hunters. I thought it might end up even higher, but only got there. A K-pop idol group secretly lives double lives as demon hunters, using music, performance energy, and hidden abilities to fight supernatural forces leaking into the human world. I wasn't the hugest fan of this animation at a glance, but watching the movie, I really got into it, and I thought that they did some good things with it. The overall style just wasn't like my best choice. But I like it. Ultimately, I think it works for the film. But really, what works is just the characters and the songs. The songs are so great and so character driven. And I just really big fan of the K-pop Demon Hunter film. I hope the sequel is as great as the first one was, because the first one really is just genuinely awesome. This is a modern animated feature concept associated with streaming era global IP development, of course, now with Netflix having big success on it, everybody trying to duplicate it. It was highly licensed at this year's Toy Fair. This is a music-driven storytelling trend, I guess, within younger culture that is popular, but being done well here. Just coming from the Disney High School Musicals and things like that. But reflects on hybridization of idol culture, fantasy action, anime, and Western animated musical structure, and just with a shitload of great mythology thrown in. It's really an excellent piece of not just animation, secondary animation to how good of a musical it is. But it's great. Check it out, K-pop Demon Hunters. All right, getting into the top 30. Again, another recent add to the list was The Good Robot. A service robot begins to question its programming after developing awareness of human emotion and systemic contradiction after he is stranded on a planet where there are no humans, and he has to go to animals to be of service. And he ends up interacting with a number of animals, including ultimately a baby duck, goose, whatever it is. And he raises this thing and teaches it how to fly. It's fucking sweet as can be. Really, really lovely. The animation's lovely. Designs are great. This is so stupid. Um, but I don't have all the, for what for somehow I deleted or don't have the information for production stuff for The Good Robot. I think it might be DreamWorks, but as a recent animated one, if you just go out to put the maybe, should I just make sure it's actually fucking called The Good Robot, and then like that isn't maybe the reason why I'm having trouble here. Good Robot, because what I had isn't right. Good Robot. The Good Robot. Oh, that's why I got it wrong. It's The Wild Robot. There we go. The Wild Robot. So The Wild Robot is excellent. Sorry for calling it The Good Robot. I'm partially dyslexic, and sometimes I'll switch around names. And it's kind of a vague one, The Wild Robot. All right, so The Wild Robot comes in at number 30. It's really sweet, heartfelt, really a human story coming through a robot. And by virtue of dealing with lots of animals, lots of great little parts for various people in the flick. And it came out just a few years ago, and it got nominated for some awards and stuff, and did pretty well. At number 29, partially it's just for Scrat alone, the little prehistoric squirrel always trying to find a nut. I just think that's so brilliant, and there were certainly some things to like about Ice Age, released in 2002 by 20th Century Fox Animation and Blue Sky Studios, and directed by Chris Wedge and Carlos Saldana, launched a billion-dollar franchise, and usually there's a reason for that. I mean, Scratch, I think, is the reason. But for those of you who didn't see it or don't know anything about it, it's a mammoth, sloth, and saber-toothed tiger and saber-toothed squirrel must return a human baby to its tribe while surviving prehistoric disasters. And it was just a lot of fun. There's a lot of things to like. Humor, John Leguizamo's great. Jennison Leary, some great comedians. Ray Romano. Ice Age is a solid animated film. At number 28, we got Klaus, another recent one released in 2019 by Netflix Animation and Spa Studios, directed by Sergio Pablos, a Despicable Me creator. Academy Award nominated hand-drawn revival film. It's amazing. A selfish postman sent to a frozen island where he forms an unlikely friendship with a reclusive toy maker, accidentally creating the legend of Santa Claus. And it's great. Origin story of Santa Claus. It's really earthy. It just feels like a great old story. Tell me a story, Grandpa, and it's a great one. All right, number 27. We've got the first on our list of the Looney Tunes era animation, some of their great films, which are all made up of collections of shorts. At number 27, it's Bugs Bunny's third movie, 101 Rabbit Tales. Bugs Bunny is forced to entertain a spoiled prince by telling stories, each leading into classic Looney Tunes shorts featuring rival narrators like Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. I was rewatching some of these things just recently, but I didn't rewatch all of them. I just rewatched one of them. So I can't tell you all the different shorts and stuff that make some of these so great, even though I was looking at like a few lists and stuff to kind of determine which were the ones were my favorite. But I loved all of these shorts always. I mean, just like some of my favorite comedy of all time are Looney Tunes cartoons. And when they were put into the context of the films with the little extra material that they would add to kind of govern it and put it together, I just always loved that. I always found it so charming and sweet. So I'm a big fan of, there's basically 4 of them that they made. And this was the third of the Bugs Bunny driven films, released in 1982 by Warner Brothers Animations, directed by the great Fritz Freeland, who's one of the Looney Tunes Golden Age creators. It's a compilation film. It's built from all these classic WB shorts with Arabian Nights framing it, but tons of other brilliant creators of Looney Tunes stuff participate in the work within here. So that's a good one. All the way at 27, but it's a great one. 26, and I thought this might get higher on the list. Recent Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Excellent flick, released in 2022 by DreamWorks Animation, directed by Joel Crawford, who did Croods: A New Age. Praised for painterly storybook animation style revival. Really, 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 really love it. Basically, in the story, which goes a long way to serve as the whole movie, as Puss discovers he's on his final life of his 9, and he must seek the mystical wishing star while confronting mortality and legacy. And little Joe Horner, there's a great comedic actor who does his voice, and he's really excellent. Goldilocks and the 3 Bears are great in here, and of course the death, the specter of death, the wolf following Puss in Boots. It's just next level because it just makes it super meta and super interesting and just ultimately makes it a story about stories and a story about life and death and so many great things. Really highly recommend Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. All right, we're getting into the top 25. At number 25, Paranorman. A boy who can see ghosts must stop a centuries-old witch curse while discovering that the monsters may be misunderstood victims of fear and history. And this is claymation with just a killer fucking resolution, meaning, just like lesson that you learn from watching it. It was released in 2012 by Leica, directed by Chris Butler and Sam Fell, Academy Award nominated stop motion horror comedy breakthrough. It's fucking awesome, man. Really just such a cool movie, moody and cool and kind of scary and funny and heartfelt, and I love it. I love a great stop motion animated film. It's one of my favorites. All right. At number 24, we have TMNT. Came out 2007 by Warner Brothers Animation and Imagi Animation, directed by Kevin Monroe, who was a TMNT revival specialist at this point. CGI reboot, which bridging 90s franchise legacy into modern animation, really, really grounding it in the original comic books that inspired it. TMNT obviously stands for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you didn't know that. The Ninja Turtles reunite after drifting apart to stop a billionaire villain seeking immortality through ancient monsters. And yes, that's like one of the coolest aspects of the movie. The Turtles spend most of the time having to collect and fight various cryptid zoological creatures that have been summoned by this rich billionaire bad guy who's like trying to get them all together to take their power. It's awesome. The animation's really cool. The style, the tone, the vibe. It's like probably my favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing next to the first movie. At number 23, we've got The Secret of the Sword, starring He-Man and introducing She-Ra. He-Man discovers a kidnapped princess destined to become She-Ra, revealing a hidden twin destiny between Eternia and Etheria and igniting a larger cosmic conflict. This is one of the greatest Masters Universe things, period. The two He-Man movies, I know I kind of was like shamefully sharing the other one earlier, but they're really good. They have stronger narrative material than He-Man does. He-Man's narrative is relatively simple. He's the good guy. He's got a secret identity, and he's pretending not to be secretly He-Man, protector of Eternia, and he's also the prince of Eternia. It makes his life very easy because he's a prince, and he's got a lot of friends, from Man-at-Arms, who's like watching out for him, and his best friend She-Ra can really handle her own with He-Man, and he has to become He-Man to be able to handle his own with She-Ra, or at least to that degree. So it's an interesting dynamic that like all of his best friends are so powerful. Like there's all these kings of other lands who live nearby, like Buzz Off and is it Strider? What's the flying guy? He's one of my least favorite characters. Always kind of trying to forget him because I think he's lame. Whatever the case, Ram Man, Mecha Neck, Manny Faces, Moss Man. There's so many fucking friends of He-Man. It's not even funny. But while She-Ra has friends, her story goes that she's stuck living like a dual life, fighting against the hordes who have taken over Etheria, trying to lead, as the Princess of Power, but also working for the horde, and I forget all the details of the thing, but she's a part of the the bad guy's structure, and and doesn't want to be. And this is like a torturous despot who she works for and is trying to fight against, and it's like a revolution on her planet. So it's a lot more like the odds are way more stacked against her, and it just always made those stories a lot more fun. And for me, these were kind of the best of the Filmation offerings because they got to include that story, which I think is more interesting than He-Man's. This was released in '85 by MGM, UA Entertainment, directed by Ed Friedman and Lou Kachievas, and it serves as the origin film for She-Ra, the Princess of Power. All right, at number 22, South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. Might have thought this one might have been higher too, but there's just a lot of great things ahead of it. Like really, like we're gonna be starting to get into the greatest animated films, but not including any Disney. Children watching an R-rated Canadian movie about Terrence and Phillip trigger a war between the U.S. and Canada, escalating into chaos involving censorship, Satan, and geopolitical satire, with some of the most amazing and hysterical songs of all time, including I'm Super, thanks for asking. It was released in 1999 by Paramount Pictures and Comedy Central, directed by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the South Park creators and creator of the Book of Mormon, and Academy Award nominated for Best Original Song. Blame Canada. Blame Canada is a great one, but my favorite one from that is California's bitch is a big fat bitch is meanest bitch in the whole wide world. She's mean old bitches, yes, super bitch to all the boys and girls. Great one. All right, at number 21. This one is a special one for me. It definitely imprinted on me as a child. Really kind of scary and spooky and a bit like outside of the box for what it was. I remember seeking it out for a little while, trying to remember what it was. Rudolph's Shiny New Year, a claymation classic. Rudolph must find the missing baby New Year to ensure the continuation of time itself before midnight ends existence. And it's really interesting and creepy, and there's this bird that's following him, and it's the archipelago, and the narration was creeping me out. Everything about it is just like really one of the creepiest animated films ever, and it's like disguised as this like cutesy claymation animated holiday movie, but oh man, it's a really dark one. It's very interesting, and I mean, just Rudolph find missing baby New Year to ensure the continuation of time itself before midnight ends existence. The stakes were really high. I just have nightmares about the fucking vulture bird creature that was in the movie. It was released in 1976 by Rankin Bass Productions, directed by Arthur Rankin Jr. and Jules Bass, stop motion holiday pioneers, and it's part of the iconic Rankin Bass holiday television universe, and perhaps my favorite. All right, getting into the top 20. At number 20, one of those movies that I just could not deny and had to be high on the list, Charlotte's Web. A pig destined for slaughter is saved by a spider who writes words in her web to convince humans of his value, creating a miracle of friendship and sacrifice. I love this movie. It's just so solid. Make me cry my eyes out, make you feel something. Released in 1973 by Paramount Pictures and Hanna-Barbera, directed by Charles A. Nichols, who was a Disney veteran animator, and based on E.B. White's classic novel, Charlotte's Web, which maybe you read in school. At number 19, An American Tail, Feifel Goes West. I honorable mention to An American Tail, but Feifel Goes West, that's the one for me. Feifel Mouskowitz moves west with his family, but becomes separated again, leading him into a western town controlled by cat criminals and a mysterious sheriff. It's just a total play on western tropes and the old, go west pilgrim immigrant narrative. It's just wonderful. Released in 1991 by Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment, directed by Phil Nibelink and Simon Wells, grandson of H.G. Wells, and produced by Steven Spielberg. E.T., Jurassic Park, you know him. It is just excellent. Dom DeLuise is the cat. And a really nice voice cast. John Cleese has a great appearance as like the sophisticated cat that's like the leader of the western town that they come into, but he's a bad guy. Great stuff in there. Anyway, at number 18, we've got Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I always wanted to like this one more. It's a little dry for me. I like a lot of the Batman episodes of the animated series a little bit more, but it is solid. It's really great, and part of like the thing is like they wanted to make something kind of whatever. I wish it just had a little bit more humor and a little bit more visually striking. Like even like with the Mask of the Phantasm, the design of the suit and everything is just so plain. But in this film, Batman confronts a mysterious vigilante killer while reliving his lost love and emotional cost of becoming Gotham's protector. And it is really good. I mean, again, Batman story centered around Batman as a love story. I've talked about this in the past. Batman is not inherently a love story in any way, shape, or form. When Batman is written as any sort of love story, it always really fucks up Batman stories, and it's not the same thing anymore. This does a little bit of that, but largely it is based directly on a Batman graphic novel. I think it was called Full Circle. It was really great. And it is an excellent adaptation. It's released in '93 by Warner Brothers Animation. It was directed by Bruce Timm and Eric Radowski, who are, the animated series creators. And initially it was a box office failure, but later it has been reappraised as one of the greatest superhero films ever made. And lots of people call it their favorite Batman movie, or the only real Batman movie. And really, there's some truth to that. At 17, one of my favorite stop-motion animation films, Coraline. I love that one. A girl discovers a parallel world that seems perfect, but hides a sinister other mother who seeks to trap her permanently in a controlled illusion. Oh man, it's so creepy. Thank you, Neil Gaiman, for haunting our dreams. I was a little older when I watched this one, so it wasn't too bad, but I'm sure it is haunting the dreams of some people out there. It's released in 2009 by Laika, directed by Henry Selick, The Nightmare Before Christmas, and based on Neil Gaiman's book or whatever, Sandman. Wasn't based on Sandman. He wrote Sandman, is Neil Gaiman. Academy Award nominated stop motion milestone. Awesome. At number 16, we've got The Brave Little Toaster. And this guy just had to go high up on my list. It's a great ensemble cast. The characters are very memorable. They brought to life a fucking toaster, an electric blanket, and a vacuum cleaner, and made me care about them. It's really an achievement. Household appliances abandoned in a summer cottage embark on a journey to find their former owner, confronting a dull sense of fear and emotional attachment. And it's funny, I hadn't thought about this at the time, but like so many of the reasons why Toy Story didn't feel super original to me is because I'd seen The Brave Little Toaster. But The Brave Little Toaster is awesome. It is an animation achievement. It looks great. It's evocative. There's so many things to like about The Brave Little Toaster. It's all of the things that come alive and all the things that you get to see through the experience of these appliances. It's really excellent. It's there's a reason it's on my list of one of the greatest animated films of all time in my top 20. Released in 1987, it was an independent production later associated with Disney Home Video Distribution, but at the time it was not made by Disney. Directed by Jerry Reese, former Pixar collaborator, based on Thomas Ditch's novel. Early influence on Pixar storytelling philosophy, emotion in objects. 15, Hulk versus Thor. This was part of a double feature. We'll get to the other one in a bit. That they released the Hulk versus thing, and it was two, hour and a half, maybe shorter, animated films. One was Hulk versus Thor, and one was Hulk versus Wolverine. And Hulk versus Thor is no joke. It is excellent. Released in 2009 by Marvel Animation, directed by Sam Liu, DC Animated Universe veteran, and Frank Power, X-Men Evolution. It's part of Marvel's direct-to-video animated feature line. It's co-written by... I'm going to get his name wrong. Craig Kyle and... man, I not remember this guy's name. Maybe I'll look him up real quick. These two movies, and we'll talk about the other one in a little bit when I get to it, but they are really exceptionally done. The Hulk versus Thor, if the other one didn't exist, would be my favorite Hulk thing outside of his great appearances in the films. It is truly masterfully done. It's just a great Thor send-up to his mythology. It's using the Hulk as an entry point into the Hulk's... the Thor mythology, and it does it swimmingly. There's so many characters to meet inside this thing. Within the Thor one, you've got Thor, Loki, Sif, Amora, who's the Enchantress. You've got Hela, Volstagg, Fandral, Hogun, Balder, Odin, some Valkyrie. Well, I think that covers enough of it. And a lot of basic mythology of that stuff and some classic type Thor stories, some things based on some really classic stories being told here. And Craig Kyle is a brilliant comic book writer. Read anything that he's ever written. He is genius. His often collaborator, Christopher Yost, is very good. Not everything he's ever written is genius, but some things he's written I've been very impressed by. This is one of them. One of my favorite things that he has written is this Hulk versus Thor. Wait a second. Are they not giving him credit here? They're not giving him credit here, but I'm pretty positive I remember it correctly that he wrote it. I think maybe he wrote it with Frank Parr, who maybe had the screen story for Hulk versus Thor, which is awesome. Just really well done, great cast, well animated. Marvel had a good thing going for a second with some animated things that they were trying to get going at a moment, and then they seemed to just abandon all those plans at a certain time. I think maybe it was because it was like controlled by Avi Arad and like some of those things. So eventually, the Marvel TV and the Marvel animation got dismantled at some point in time, and it doesn't, never came back really, or at least never came back in any good way. At number 14, we've got Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. The Joker mysteriously returns in futuristic Neo-Gotham, forcing Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, to uncover a dark psychological legacy tied to Bruce Wayne's past. I don't know about you, but I always liked Batman Beyond, but I didn't love it because it was just his character. The bad guys weren't as good, and I loved all the aspects of it that were Batman, but some aspects of it, I didn't care about them as much. This film installment really just helps out that big time for Batman fans. This is the most Batman of the Batman Beyond offerings. It was released in 2000 by Warner Brothers Animation, directed by Kurt Gita. I recommend the director's cut. They just were really playing it safe back in the day with like kids stuff. So there's the director's cut is much better. It's produced under Bruce Timm's DC animated universe, and the uncut version, as I mentioned, became highly influential in superhero animation tone, and it's significantly different. Like the ending's different. Like it's a big departure from the one that the kids watched. Yeah, what else am I going to say? At number 13, The Simpsons movie. What a delight this was. Grew up watching The Simpsons and enjoying it in the early seasons. Fell off with The Simpsons, didn't watch for a long time. Heard about a Simpsons movie. The family's like, oh, let's go watch The Simpsons movie. Even though I hadn't enjoyed The Simpsons in a long time. But holy shit, The Simpsons movie is great. As Homer accidentally pollutes Springfield's lake, causing the EPA to imprison the town under a fucking dome, forcing the Simpsons to go on the run while trying to save their home. And it's just awesome. It's really heartfelt, meaningful, funny, genuinely funny. It's released in 2007 by 20th Century Fox and Gracie Films, directed by David Silverman, who's a veteran Simpsons animator, created by Matt Groening, obviously Futurama, Simpsons. An Academy Award-nominated expansion of the TV series, and deservingly so. It is just really great. Spider-Pig. There's just so much to like about it. All right. At number 12, we've got Daffy Duck's movie, Fantastic Island. Daffy runs a fantasy wish-granting island where classic Looney Tunes characters have their desires fulfilled, but each wish spirals into chaotic slapstick consequences. It's released in 1983 by Warner Brothers Animation, built from classic Looney Tunes shorts, just like the other three Bugs Bunny featured ones, which granted we've only talked about two of those, but with all these new framing sequences that play off of Fantasy Island. Literally, they give him Speedy Gonzalez as his sidekick to be his... what do you call it? It's the plane. I forget the name of that character. But as his little sidekick. I didn't watch that show. I'm not that old. Features Daffy and Speedy. And this was part of the WB Anthology compilation film strategy that I loved. I enjoyed all of these things separately, and then when they put them together in these films, I just loved them being pulled together. I kind of went online earlier today, and I was kind of asking, I remember watching all of these, and I remember really loving all of them, and I had certain ones that I was remembering just a little bit more for the connected pieces and for some of the cartoons that were attached in there. And Daffy Ducks, I love Daffy, and any fucking Daffy Duck things are quite good. Daffy and Donald, both of those, I like Donald and Daffy quite a bit. These all still hold up. These Looney Tunes things that I'm recommending, highly recommend you put them on for yourself, with your kids. They are awesome. At number 11, and I'm bummed out that it couldn't make it into the top 10, but I just don't think there was anything that I could push to get it into the top 10. It is recent Netflix's Storks, released in 2016 by Warner Brothers Animation. I thought it was Netflix produced, but maybe I was wrong, or maybe I guess they released it. It's directed by Nicholas Stoller from the guy who did Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and Doug Sweetland, Pixar veteran on Toy Story. And it is considered a mid-tier but important Warner Brothers CGI comedy expansion film, but it is much more than that. It is truly excellent, truly fucking funny. It's got a nice heart at its core, but the reason why it's so great is because of its humor, which is filled with conceptual Monty Python, South Park-esque humor, where, they just like own something. And there are these sea wolves that show up, and they are some of my favorite characters in all of animation. These guys are completely absurd. They fall in love with this baby that they're trying to deliver, and they want the baby, and they're going after it the whole thing. It's great. The lead character is played by Andy Samberg. The voice cast is incredible. There's Alec Baldwin and lots of great little people showing up. Storks was so great that I watched it like 5 or 6 times within the span of a few weeks with my kids, because I thought it was, well, actually that's not true. I put it on for myself a couple times. Yeah, man, Storks. Thumbs up. Thumbs up to Storks. All right, at number 10, I couldn't quite say that Storks was better than this because this really is an achievement. The first Lego movie, man. An ordinary Lego construction worker is mistaken for the special and becomes the key to stopping a tyrannical regime, only to discover the conflict may exist between imagination and control itself. Breaking the fourth wall, going to Will Ferrell as the father who's got his Lego collection and doesn't want his son to touch his stuff. Man, it just rooted the whole thing in such a great reality, and the comedy in the script, especially the comedy in the music. I mentioned John DeLujoie, I can't pronounce his name. And the Lonely Island guys, I think, do have some songs in here as well included. It's so good, so funny, so genuinely excellent. When you can, anything that binds the family together. And this did for me with my kids. We just watched this and we're all just over the moon laughing and enjoying the hell out of this Lego movie. It was released in 2014 by Warner Brothers Pictures and Animal Logic. The film was critically acclaimed for its inventive animation style and meta-narrative structure at the time. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, directors Spider-Verse now and 21 Jump Street. Known for blending meta-comedy with emotional storytelling, it won a BAFTA and multiple Critics Awards, and Oscar-nominated for its screenplay. And that says something. Oscar-nominated for its screenplay, an animated film with an Oscar-nominated screenplay. It deserves it. Wonderful. At number 9, the Looney Bugs Bunny movie. Bugs Bunny reflects on his greatest rivalries, while Daffy Duck attempts to steal the spotlight, turning the film into a comedic ego battle stitched together with classic Looney Tunes shorts. And this one has some real classic ones. The first 2 are just really filled with some of the greatest of Looney Tunes animation that they ever put out. Released in 1981 by Warner Brothers Animation as a theatrical compilation film using archival Looney Tunes shorts with new framing sequences, just like the other ones. This one's also directed by Friz Freleng, Pink Panther influencer animator, a very influential guy. Compilation of Warner Brothers Golden Age shorts, like I said, some of the best ones, and it's structured as Bugs Bunny retrospective presentation. And it's simple that way, but the fucking cartoons that are being presented are freaking awesome. Watch these. Number 8, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, 1976. The Grinch, a bitter creature living above Whoville, attempts to destroy Christmas by stealing all decorations and gifts, only to discover that the holiday's meaning transcends material possessions. Released in 1966 by MGM Animation and Visual Arts, directed by the great Chuck Jones, it became one of the most enduring holiday television specials in American culture. Chuck Jones is known for Looney Tunes and Roadrunner, creator. Based on Dr. Seuss's book by Theodore Seuss Geisel. And music by Albert Haug and narration by Boris Karloff. Fucking amazing for the fucking narration and the song, The Mean One. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Far down on my list was The Cat in the Hat animated that was produced by similar people. And I do love The Cat in the Hat animated, but it just didn't quite overcome other things that were on my list. I haven't come back to watch that Cat in the Hat thing over and over again, but I have watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas over and over and over again, especially for all the shit with his dog. You know, it's animated and it's briefer, and so much of the stuff that really goes on with the Grinch is all happens with Max, his dog, and I always loved Max. I was kind of disappointed in a couple of things that they didn't use from the cartoon in the film, but love that animated film either way. Love that live action film either way, and maybe even more so, love the original animated classic, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. All right, at number 7, we talked about this a few months ago now. It's Cartoon All-Stars to the rescue. When a group of iconic cartoon characters unite to help a teenager struggling with substance abuse, using a surreal crossover intervention to teach anti-drug messaging. This thing includes one of the Ninja Turtles, Slimer, Smurfs, Muppet Babies, Alf, the Alvin and the Chipmunks. There are so many cartoons crossing over into this thing. It was a crazy dream at the time, and I was very anti-drug at the time, so like it went right along with me and my personal message that I've been taught by my father. And, I'm still relatively anti-drug, but I believe in the advocacy of plant medicine, which I think is much more than just drugs. This was just done so well. And to have the fucking the Ghostbusters crossing over with the Ghostbusters crossing over with DuckTales. I think Huey, Dewey, and Louie are in it. It's so awesome. It's such a weird time capsule. I really highly recommend people go back and watch it. I've heard from a couple of people who said they went back and watched it after I recommended it, and really got a lot out of the experience. Just kind of, because it's like not like it's necessarily like the greatest story ever told kind of thing, but for what it is, this crossing over of all these characters, to get all of the voice cast, to get the characterizations right, to tell a story, mixing all of these things together that went into the real world and spoke directly to kids. It's a very interesting piece of animation, and one of my favorites outside of what Disney's done. It was released in 1990 as a televised PSA special by ABC and multiple animation studios collaborating across franchises, and it became a defining example of 1990s educational crossover media. Really, really well done. All right, at number 6, and I thought maybe it might be higher, is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, one of the single greatest animated pieces of film ever made. This thing looks incredible. They brought comic books to life somehow. It's mind-blowing. In the story, Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man, discovers a multiverse collapse caused by Kingpin's experiments, teaming up with a bunch of alternate Spider heroes from different dimensions to stop reality from unraveling, including Spider-Gwen, Spider-Noir, the anime Spider-Person, and Spider-Ham. It was released in 2018 by Sony Pictures Animation. The film revolutionized animation with its comic book-inspired visual style and won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. I don't think we would necessarily have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish if not for the animation of Into the Spider-Verse. And I really do believe that Into the Spider-Verse elevated animation, period. Like that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem thing had a great look. I didn't think it was like necessarily the greatest animated film ever, but had a great look, and so much of that was pulling from Into the Spider-Verse big time, and a great one to bite from. Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman are the directors, and it's produced by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, the Lego Movie. Lord and Miller are known now for revitalizing animated comedy storytelling because of their work on not just this, but so many different things. These guys are great and have done some great things. I still want to see the freaking Han Solo movie that they weren't allowed to make. Something tells me we might have liked it. All right, getting into the top 5. At number 5, I couldn't not have it here. And like, honestly, like all those that I could bump them all up higher. The Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie, the first one. Bugs Bunny hosts a retrospective showcasing his greatest adventures, while classic Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote segments demonstrate slapstick survival comedy in the desert. The film is structured as a greatest hits compilation of Looney Tunes shorts, and boy, is it ever. Released in 1979 by Warner Brothers Animation, this compilation film was assembled from classic theatrical shorts. It was part of a theatrical repackaging trend of Looney Tunes content during the late 1970s that we've talked about now. Chuck Jones, framing sequences, co-creator of Roadrunner style animation, compilation of works by Warner Brothers animation legends including Fritz Freeling and Robert McKimson, hosted by Bugs Bunny as narrative anchor. And he literally does like a whole like history of the world stuff, like at the beginning, like framing entertainment, all these things are put into context for them to then go into, and then there was me. And it's just, they're great. They're well done. They're fun. They're lighthearted. If you like Bugs Bunny, you're going to be there laughing. The performances are amazing. Mel Blanc is fucking incredible. I mean, really, if nobody's ever turned you on to Looney Tunes before, shit, man. Like, I think I'm going to do like a big like rewatch and like make a list of my favorite Looney Tunes animated cartoons of all time. Like, I want to watch them all and make a list. Fucking Looney Tunes, man. Like, Jesus. They're just so damn good. And there's some cartoons that my kids watch, Zig and Sharko, and a couple that don't even have dialogue, and they're all just rip-offs of old school Warner Brothers cartoons. And they're there to be ripped off. It's evergreen, and so much of the comedy and the humor has been lost as generations have passed and, time has gone on. And man, you want to get a leg up on comedy and charm and humor, go back and watch any of the great Looney Tunes cartoons. But a great place to start is the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie, the first of their greatest hits compilations. All right, at number 4, one of my favorite animated films of all time. This started out as the very top of the list. As I started making the list, one of the first ones that came to the top of my head that I was like, oh, well, that's like fucking towards number 1. The Iron Giant. Released in 1999 by Warner Brothers Animation, directed by former Disney animator Brad Bird, who went on to direct fucking Incredibles, Ratatouille, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and John Carter. No, he didn't do John Carter. He did the Mission Impossible movie. That's Andrew Stanton who did the other one. Though this was a box office disappointment at the time, it became a massive cult classic on home video and is now considered one of the greatest animated films ever made. It is inspired by Ted Hughes' novel, The Iron Man, produced during Warner Brothers' experimental animation renaissance. And oh man, what a great movie this is. Hogarth, this boy, it's like the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. No, I guess it's got to be in the 1960s or 70s. Like it's around the war. Because some of it has to do with during the war. So he likes Superman. And the robot, he sees that the robot has some destructive tendencies. It has a dent in its head that's stopping its programming from executing, and it's not doing what it's supposed to do, which is basically be a killer robot. And he teaches it how to be a good guy. He teaches it about Superman. He makes him this Superman logo, this like S for his chest. And one of the most incredible moments in any movie I've ever seen is towards the end of the movie where the Iron Giant decides to do what he thinks that Superman would do, even though he probably won't survive. And I'm crying thinking about it. It's imprinted on me so hard. The Iron Giant, I love that movie. Just represents the innocence of that kid. A kid who I am and I have in me, who believes in more and better. And, and seeing him be disappointed in this movie in the context of the film, it's all very heart-wrenching and heartwarming. You will never feel so much emotion for
a robot. And number 3, one of my favorite, I guess, movies ever made. I'm pretty sure this is on my list of my favorite movies. I've been working on a new one, and it is on there. The Fantastic Mr. Fox. While this movie doesn't quite hit at the heartstrings the way the other things, the style of it, the execution of it, the way it humanizes the animals and essentially produces a standard kind of human story, but through the lens of the humans versus the animals. And the little things about it that are different and weird are so great. Just, this is so weird. I like it. This is so different. I like it. I really like it. It's such a fun movie, and the look of it, the stop motion animation, but also the art direction from Wes Anderson. This was released in 2009 by 20th Century Fox and Indian Paintbrush. The film uses stop motion animation, was nominated for multiple Academy Awards, including Best Animated Feature. Wes Anderson has done more than just this one. He also did The Isle of Dogs, which I just don't remember it. I remembered I liked it, but I really didn't remember it. So I didn't even know where to put it on the list. I thought it was pretty good, but it just didn't imprint on me. But this one did. And I've watched this multiple times since. Wes Anderson's the director of The Grand Budapest Hotel, Moonrise Kingdom, The Royal Tenenbaums, The Phoenician Scheme. Really great. Love The Phoenician Scheme. Just recommended that recently. This was co-written with Noah Baumbach, who wrote Marriage Story. Produced by Scott Rudin, also produced The Social Network, and known for its highly stylized, symmetrical storytelling and meticulous production design. The production design is just awesome. It's so cool. And the story, which is great, which is based on, this book and, lovingly adapted. Cunning Fox attempts one last heist against 3 ruthless farmers, but his actions endanger his family and community, forcing him to confront responsibility, identity, and survival instincts in a war between animal ingenuity and human revenge. And this is totally like a heist film, but starring a fox who really just has a bug up his ass about heisting from these farmers, and these farmers are just like the greatest villains. Everything about Fantastic Mr. Fox is just awesome and charming. It will make you feel some things, but it's just very clever and very interesting, and I quite love Fantastic Mr. Fox. All right, at number 2, if you couldn't have guessed it, Hulk versus Wolverine. I told you that they were using Hulk as an entry point into the world of Thor in Hulk versus Thor. Well, that's the same thing that happens here in Hulk versus Wolverine. And you don't get quite the densely packed cameo list that you get from Thor, but you get a bunch. Here we get Lady Deathstrike, we get Sabretooth, we get Omega Red, we get Deadpool. I'm going deeper into the IMDb here so I can get everybody else. I guess that's it. And the Professor. I don't know if the Professor, Tom Kane, the Professor. Nolan North doing Deadpool, and he's excellent. This is just so great. It's so short and sweet. Wolverine fighting the Hulk in the woods. They pull from every great Hulk and Wolverine fight thing ever. Have guest appearances by all the best characters: Deadpool, Sabretooth, Omega Red, Lady Deathstrike, and it's a in the snow Weapon H program, Weapon X program story. It's so well done. It encapsulates that moment, takes all the stories that anybody's ever enjoyed from the comics that are kind of like that, and makes a $1 million version, a best version of it. Best case scenario. Let's just do that and take a little of this, take a little of that. It is so good. It is so simple. It is so excellent. You must watch Hulk versus Wolverine. I really just think it's excellent. Do I have any other information here? I was released in 2009 by Marvel Animation, animated at Madhouse in Japan. And this direct-to-video feature was part of the Marvel Animated Features line. It received strong fan praise for its darker tone and faithful comic adaptation style at the time. Frank Parr, director of Batman, the animated series, and his name has come up other times on this list as well. Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is another great animated series, which I recommended a while back. Marvel Animation Production Unit, Kevin Feige era oversight, but really not exactly. The animation wasn't exactly being held by him. Based on iconic Marvel Comics matchups by multiple writers, including Len Wein, Wolverine co-creator, yes, but this was written by Craig Kyle, and he did such a good job. The Hulk is manipulated and unleashed into the Canadian wilderness where Wolverine is deployed to stop him, leading to an escalating, brutal battle between two of Marvel's most dangerous living weapons. The story reveals Weapon X involvement and transforms the conflict into survival horror with government experimentation at its core. Dude, it rules. Check it out. All right, finally, last but certainly not least, number one with a bullet on my list. The first film in this series was on the list, but eventually got broken down off the list after, we just got to a certain point. I decided not to go over 52. But number one is Ni-Za 2. Ni-Za 2 is the sequel to Ni-Za. Fucking incredible. This was released in 2025. It was a smash sensation in China, and for fucking good reason. I went to go see it with my kids this past summer, I guess. Me and Julie and Parker and Grayson, my two youngest. It is this incredible Chinese mythological animation thing. It is amazing. It continues the success of Ni-Za, which had come out in 2019, but was not so successful. And it represents one of the highest grossing animated films in China and of all time. And it is further cementing the rise of domestic Chinese animation on the global stage. Yu Yang Jiaozi, director of it, also helmed Ni-Zang, the first one in 2019. Studio leadership from Coco Cartoons production team, known for pushing Chinese mythological cinematic universes. And that is this. It is so amazing. It's a continuation of the mythological rebirth saga of Ni-Za, where these two halves of a whole are initially fighting, and now in the second movie they're having to work together. The rebellious divine child born from chaotic cosmic forces as he struggles against destiny, heavenly bureaucracy, and the consequences of his past incarnation. Story expands the conflict between mortals, dragons, and celestial order, pushing Ni-Za into a larger war that questions fate itself. Yes, it's basically this crazy, mythical, magical war with awesome monsters that had been locked up underground, and dragons that had been locked up underground, and magic wielding people, and betrayal, and these sort of good guy forces who aren't all they're cracked up to be, and bad guy forces that aren't necessarily as bad as they're cracked up to be. Some of the most incredible visuals. It's funny, it's fun, it's light, but really it is one of the greatest spectacles I have ever laid my eyes on. One of the greatest spectacles I've ever let my eyes on in my whole life is Ni-Za 2. I highly recommend it. Really, it is for me one of the greatest animated films of all time, one of the greatest films of all time. I think it is really special and worth watching. Ni-Za, which is good, but not good as this. This is just something extra, just another level, and it's because of the foundations put on Ni-Za, but they just take this story to such interesting places. I've just never seen a story like this told like this, so big. I was like this. It's just so big. It's fucking epic. So that's it. That's my last recommendation on this list. 52 of the greatest non-Disney animated films of all time. And that's it, man. Ni-Za 2. I love you. I'm Jesse Blaze Snider. You can always reach out to me at jbs@blacklightdistrict.studio if you think that I missed something that should have been on this list. I'm sure you probably do. I'm sure my list will change 10 years from now. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to my show, and I hope you will join me again for another 5 recommendations across the board and a whole week of great entertainment recommendations on Coolest Alive.
Love you guys. Peace out. You've been listening to Coolest Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent entertainment recommendations. Thanks for listening.
It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, say. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah! It's my favorite part. Isn't that heavy? I'll play that. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Coolest alive. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Stay with your tribe. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Revenge of the Geeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Week after weeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout. I'm a genius. I got lyrics coming out me bum for days. You like that? It's a kazoo solo. I played that too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living the shit. My voice is fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top of the awesome. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go.
It's going to be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
You'll all see.